In December 2020, during the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic, Gun-woo finishes his boxing training and gets on a bus to go back home. A drunk man causes chaos on the ride back, and Gun-woo uses his skills to tackle him and help the passengers on the bus. However, once he gets home, Gun-woo is disheartened when he overhears his mother apologizing to someone for not paying their debt. News reports claim that due to the recession, there are a lot of construction projects that have been left under construction. Director Hong, the owner of an under-construction hotel, talks to the vice president of a leading bank, asking for more money to be able to finish the project. The man refuses to lend Director Hong any more money after the initial 400 million won. Just then, Kim Myung-gil, a loan shark, joins the meeting and offers to help Director Hong in order to loan him the money. He claims that he has helped Director Hong's father many years ago during the IMF crisis in South Korea. Myung-gil retorts that he was trying to right the wrongs of other merciless loan sharks by using his money for good. Myung-gil offers to invest the entire 100 billion to help Hong with his hotel business, since he will be running the hotel himself. Myung-gil starts presenting his terms for the investment and claims that he needs to have a casino on the topmost floor of the hotel, a bar in the basement, and a quarantine zone due to COVID-19 restrictions. On his car ride back home, Myung-gil tells his driver and his girlfriend that he had managed to get Hong to take a loan from him and how they should start preparing hostesses for the bar they would run at the hotel. The next morning, Gun-woo has a boxing tournament. He is calm and composed in his fights and is known to be a one-punch man, usually defeating his opponents with one punch. For the final round, he finds himself fighting Woo-jin, a former Marine soldier turned boxer named. Woo-jin is the opposite of Gun-woo and is cocky about winning over Gun-woo. Determined to defeat Gun-woo, Woo-jin tries to bear the blow to his ribs and fights back. However, Gun-woo hits him back on the same spot and defeats Woo-jin to win the competition and the prize money of 10 million won. Woo-jin is sent to the hospital and is mocked by his coach for being defeated despite being a mariner. Outside his hospital room, Gun-woo waits for Woo-jin and offers to treat him to a meal. Woo-jin is mad at Gun-woo for defeating him but then agrees to go out on a meal with him. While eating, Gun-woo tells Woo-jin that he used to part-time a lot. He states that he helps his mother out because they had a lot of debt due to his father, who sued a large corporation and ended up losing the lawsuit. Woo-jin tells Gun-woo that he's the son of a bronze medal-winning Olympic boxer Hong Song-gwin. He started boxing when he was in grade 6, while Gun-woo claims that he started boxing about 3 years ago following his military service. Gun-woo starts talking to Woo-jin formally since Woo-jin is 2 years older than him. Woo-jin is shocked to learn that Gun-woo was a mariner too and his senior in the military. Woo-jin treats Gun-woo with respect because of their positions, but Gun-woo asks him to speak casually. The two bond over the meal and exchange phone numbers to keep in touch. Woo-jin promises to make Gun-woo street smart in time. He also tells Gun-woo that they should stay away from loan sharks after Gun-woo picks up a card at the bus station. These sharks are taking advantage of the desperate conditions of people after COVID-19 hit. Gun-woo also mentions how his mother's restaurant owner hadn't reduced the rent despite the pandemic, and that they were in dire need of money to survive. Later that night, Gun-woo goes to his mother's bakery and gives her the prize money he won from the fight. He asks her to pay off their uncle for the money he had loaned them. On his way back home, Gun-woo can't help but notice a black car that was tailing him. Meanwhile, Myung-gil has asked his employees to look for people who had huge debts to pay off and bring them in for a meeting. Myung-gil's girlfriend, In-young, as well as his employees start talking to people who had huge loans to pay off. They trap these people by claiming to pay the loans off immediately and adding a 5% interest on the amount, which was less than what the banks offered. Myung-gil's employees claim that they were a government-issued loan agency that was aiming to help small business owners sustain the recession due to the pandemic. These innocent business owners, including Gun-woo's mother, sign the contract and borrow the money from Myung-gil's agency. Unbeknownst of this, Gun-woo goes to his gym to practice but learns that the gym had been shut down temporarily because one of the members had tested positive for COVID. His trainer asks Gun-woo to rest, but he is not sure what to do. Gun-woo calls Woo-jin, asking to hang out, but the latter sends him his address and invites him over. On his way there, Gun-woo spots a woman attacking a man. He runs after her, seeking answers, but she attacks Gun-woo, asking him to stop meddling in things he has no knowledge about. President Choi is an old, wheelchair-bound loan shark. One of his borrowers comes back to return the money he had lent her family. He asks the woman to pay off other urgent debts, but she claims that she needs to pay Choi back for his kindness. Hyun-ju, the woman who got in a scuffle with Gun-woo, shows up at President Choi's office. She is his granddaughter and tells him that she had got money out of a borrower by stealing his watch worth 20 million won. President Choi doesn't approve of that, as his loan was only 10 million won. Hyun-ju tells him that he needed to stop lending money without interest, but the old man claims that saving a family is the most precious form of interest there is. She then tells him that the borrower was trying to scam poor people by taking out loans under their name and using the money for himself. President Choi is concerned that she's putting herself in danger by meddling with people in the prison. He calls Mr. Moon, looking for a skilled fighter and bodyguard, who's also an honest person. Meanwhile, Gun-woo and Woo-jin are killing time chatting about what is important for a boxer. Gun-woo thinks that a boxer should have a kind heart, but Woo-jin claims that making money is more important. Woo-jin does not agree with Gun-woo's ideology and tunes out of his rant about being a good person. Woo-jin then tells Gun-woo that he used to work as a gym trainer for kids, but ended up losing his job during the pandemic. Gun-woo asks him to start working as a food delivery agent to make money and work on his non-boxing muscles as cardio. Woo-jin wonders that since Gun-woo has won the Rookie of the Year tournament, he will soon be competing in the Super Series. Gun-woo claims that the series had been postponed due to the pandemic and adds that all he could do is wait and train. That night, Myung-gil and his loan shark friends celebrate their success in giving out as many debts to small businesses as possible. He learns from Assemblyman Park that the mayor of the city will also support their casino bid. After getting confirmation from the mayor, Myung-gil bribes the assemblyman that helped him and kicks him out. They then start going out to recollect the debts one by one. Myung-gil's men decide to go out to the small businesses and tell them about a ton of conditions that are included in the loan contracts. They tell Gun-woo's mother that she has to pay the 40 million won principal amount as well as 20% interest on top, according to the conditions mentioned in the loan contracts. She threatens to call the cops when Myung-gil's thugs break down her shop. She calls Gun-woo for help and he runs to help his mother. He fights the thugs and beats them all single-handedly, leaving them in a bloody pulp. Myung-gil shows up at the restaurant and asks his bodyguard, a huge man, to fight Gun-woo. Gun-woo tries his best to keep up, but is soon overpowered by the man and ends up passed out in front of his mother, covered in blood. Myung-gil asks Gun-woo to work for him because he has grit, but the boxer spits in the loan shark's face. Infuriated by the insults, Myung-gil strikes Gun-woo with a knife on his cheek. We later see Gun-woo coming out of surgery after getting 30 stitches for his scar. He goes to the doctor for a regular checkup and she tells him that his wound is healing and adds that he was lucky that the knife did not hit any nerve. He could opt to get plastic surgery for the scar, but after learning that it will be an expensive procedure, Gun-woo tells her that he'll reconsider it. Woo-jin waits outside for Gun-woo as he reads the loan contract. He learns that Myung-gil's company, Smile Capital, have conned his mother. He offers to take Gun-woo out for a meal and tries to seek help from someone that he was friends with so that they can pay off Gun-woo's debt. Gun-woo overhears Woo-jin talking to one of his friends, who's also a loan shark, asking for his help. Gun-woo is overwhelmed with emotion to see the lengths to which Woo-jin is willing to help him. Woo-jin takes Gun-woo to the loan shark's office where he agrees to help Gun-woo out in exchange for working for him. He claims that Gun-woo and Woo-jin both have to work as bloodhounds/hound dogs chasing after borrowers, making them return the money. Gun-woo is against harassing poor borrowers and refuses the offer. Woo-jin follows suit and is shocked by Gun-woo's sense of pride and bravery. He tells Gun-woo that he had a real boxer's heart. That evening, Woo-jin calls his senior from the military and asks to meet him. The senior is President Choi's right-hand man, Mr. Moon, and invites the two boys over for a chat. He tells the boxers who President Choi is and how he used to work for one of the biggest loan sharks in South Korea. Mr. Moon also tells them that President Choi had quit working for Mr. Bang and had now set up an interest-free loan agency that lent money to the needy. The two boys give their details to Mr. Moon for an interview with President Choi. Meanwhile, Hyun-ju is on a mission of her own as she follows the borrower around to see what he was up to. She finds that he was having a meeting with Smile Capital's Kim Jun-min, the same man who had conned Gun-woo's mother. Hyun-ju tells her grandfather that the borrower Yang Jae-myung had gone around taking loans worth 400 million won in total, all under the names of poor people who had been in prison. President Choi tells his granddaughter that he had left the world and that he did not want Hyun-ju trying to get involved in it either. That night, Myung-gil's bodyguard Jang-do asks him why he slit Gun-woo's face. Myung-gil claims that because Gun-woo spat on him in front of his thugs, he wanted to show them who the person in power was. The next day, President Choi learns about Woo-jin and Gun-woo and asks only to meet with Gun-woo over lunch. Both boys show up at the restaurant, but only Gun-woo is allowed to meet the old man for his interview. President Choi tells Gun-woo that he treated Hyun-ju like his grandchild and wanted to hire a bodyguard for her. He learns from Gun-woo that his parents had split and that he needs 100 million won to repay a loan. President Choi agrees to hire Gun-woo and offers him the job. Later that night, he sends one of his men to give Gun-woo 100 million won in exchange for 2 years of his life working as Hyun-jo's bodyguard. Gun-woo is touched by the old man's gesture and gives the money to his mother. He thanks Woo-jin for his help and support as they have dinner together at Gun-woo's house. That night, In-young tells Myung-gil that she's worried about him because the person he was going to meet that evening is a very influential chaebol, rich heir. She insists that Mr. Hong looks like a shady man. Jang-do tells Myung-gil that Mr. Hong was accompanied by a government officer as well. Inside the meeting room, Mr. Hong and his cousin, the government officer, forcefully get Myung-gil drunk. After the trio have a few drinks, Mr. Hong threatens to destroy Myung-gil because he had lied about helping Hong's family. He claims that Smile Capitals was a bankrupt agency and threatens to use his cousin to have the National Tax Agency investigate Myung-gil's business. Myung-gil claims that he had the money that Hong needed and offers to help him with it. Hong leaves the room threatening to destroy Myung-gil in the event of foul play from the loan shark's end. Afterwards, Myung-gil asks Jang-do to run a background check on Hong's cousin. The next day, both Gun-woo and Woo-jin show up at the location where Gun-woo will start working for President Choi. Woo-jin asks Gun-woo to put in a good word for him so that he too can get a job there. Inside, President Choi is glad to see Gun-woo, thanking Choi for his benevolence. Woo-jin talks non-stop about his merits, asking President Choi to consider him for a position there. He agrees to let the two works but claims that the decision of hiring them is up to Hyun-jo. President Choi leaves his credit card for the two boys to have a meal, which Gun-woo is apprehensive to use. The old man also adds that if Hyun-jo does not hire them, Gun-woo has to find a way to pay back the 100 million won. Once President Choi leaves, the two boys have a look around and find that the library is full of millions of won in cash, which was hidden away behind cardboard boxes that looked like books. Woo-jin is more concerned about the money that was just lying in front of him, while Gun-woo is worried that he had run into Hyun-jo before. He tells Woo-jin about the incident and the latter of the two promises to help him. However, when Hyun-jo arrives, Woo-jin is not able to persuade her. She kicks him out, but Gun-woo stays back and gets on his knees, begging Hyun-jo to let him stay for a month at least. He tells her how Smile Capitals conned his mother and how he needed the money to pay the debt. Hyun-jo is interested in helping Gun-woo because of Smile Capitals and offers to chat with them over lunch. Woo-jin is still confused about how Gun-woo managed to crack through Hyun-jo as he collects their meal. Meanwhile, Hyun-jo and Gun-woo discuss the organization. She tells Gun-woo that she had been tailing the borrower for a while and had learned that he was part of an organization that conned homeless people. Hyun-jo claims that these men pretend to be homeless too and take away the identity cards of actual homeless people. She asks Woo-jin and Gun-woo to follow these men and take an estimate of the number of ID cards they collect. The boys follow these men down the subway and discover that they were lying to the homeless, claiming to be a government employee. They ask for the ID cards of these homeless people with the promise of a monthly stipend from the government in exchange. The homeless people willingly give away their IDs to these men until one old man yells at them for stealing his ID. The men beat up the homeless guy, but Woo-jin stops Gun-woo from helping him because of Hyun-jo's instruction. We see Gun-woo rushing to help the homeless man as the thugs beat him until he bleeds. Woo-jin joins him as they beat the goons up and call an ambulance to help the homeless man. Hyun-jo yells at them for ruining her operation for some random stranger they did not even know. Woo-jin apologizes and asks for one chance to meet her in person and explain their side of the story. She agrees to see them at the library, but Gun-woo does not understand why Woo-jin apologized for doing the right thing. Woo-jin explains that trying to understand Hyun-jo and explain their side is a good thing to do since they're new to the job. They go to the library, but Hyun-jo immediately starts yelling at them and scolds the pair for ruining her operation. She lashes out at Woo-jin alone, but he tries to reason with her as Gun-woo stands by and watches. Gun-woo agrees to leave her alone and pay back the debt, but tells Hyun-jo that watching someone die right in front of his eyes for his personal benefit is not part of his moral code. If Myung-gil could slash his face, he would not worry if something much worse happened to mere homeless people. The two boys leave and Woo-jin promises that they'll find a way to repay the loan. The boys end up arguing but soon get a text from Hyun-jo. She apologizes for misunderstanding them and requests they come to work the following day. The borrower, Jae-myung, tells Smile Capita's Junmin that they're being followed by someone. He tells Junmin that the people following them are youngsters and wear the same cap as President Choi's debt collector. Meanwhile, at the library, Woo-jin tries to understand the modus operandi of Jae-myung and his team. Woo-jin tells her that Jae-myung has forgotten that he had already conned the old man and is trying to do that again. Hyun-jo tells them that Jae-myung borrowed 50 million won per fake ID, which means that they were making a small fortune using homeless people. Hyun-jo claims that the loan sharks Jae-myung may have conned probably won't go to the cops because their business is illegal. She decides that they should help recover the money for these sharks and charge them 1 to 2% interest over it. Gun-woo believes that such loan sharks who are conned by Jae-myung will direct their anger to other innocent small business owners, and he just wants to help them. Just then, Jae-myung and Junmin show up outside the library, and the trio turn off the lights and seal the gates to throw them off and turn their phones off. They also turn their phones off and look at what the duo were onto from the CCTV camera. Junmin asks Jae-myung to kick down the shutter in order to tear it down. He learns that the shutter was made of a stronger metal and also notices the CCTV camera. The duo leaves, after which Hyun-jo, Gun-woo and Woo-jin discuss how they may have found out about the library. Woo-jin claims that Jae-myung did not follow them there and adds that after seeing how they fight, he would have gotten more thugs with him if he was sure. Gun-woo confesses that he was wearing Hyun-jo's cap from when he had gotten into a scuffle with her. Woo-jin is sure they will be back soon, but President Choi comes to the library just in time and asks and demands answers from the trio. Hyun-jo tells President Choi that she was trying to help recover the money from loan sharks by catching Jae-myung. She tells him that the two boys were protecting her and had accidentally led to Smile Capital's discover the location of the library. President Choi says that he was disappointed in Hyun-jo, but she claps back at him saying that he never did anything to punish a conman like Jae-myung. She shows him the scar on Gun-woo's face and tells President Choi how those people were scamming and destroying the lives of small business owners like Gun-woo's mother and many more. President Choi asks the name of the person that did this to Gun-woo, and the latter tells the old man that it was a man with a scar on his left cheek. President Choi looks like he had seen a ghost and asks the trio to go back home. President Choi asks his right-hand man to check if Myung-gil was the owner of Smile Capitals. Hyun-jo, Gun-woo and Woo-jin go out for a meal. Gun-woo gets busy grilling the meat for them, while Hyun-jo and Woo-jin chat about the friendship between the two boxers. All of a sudden, Woo-jin and Gun-woo start arguing and Hyun-jo has to intervene to calm them down. Gun-woo asks Hyun-jo about her relationship with President Choi, and she tells the boys how she had cancer when she was a child and was cured by the time she turned 10. She also tells them that she was in an orphanage that she often ran away from because she got hungry. After she was moved to President Choi's orphanage, she grew closer to him because he paid for everything that she had learned because he empathized with her. Gun-woo claims that he also was certain President Choi was a good man when he just helped him repay such a huge loan without a second thought. They decide to help President Choi now and protect him at all costs by eliminating Jae-myung and the company he was working for. Meanwhile, Mr. Hong asks his secretary to start working on the hotel. At the same time, Myung-gil tells Jang-do and his personal bodyguard Beom that his aim was to start a casino in South Korea, since gamblers no longer were able to leave the country due to the pandemic restrictions and were itching to gamble. He claims that this would help him make big money. Myung-gil adds that his plan is to record the gambling and expose Mr. Hong for being the hotel owner that's facilitating the casino on his premises, which would end his business. After that, he plans to torture Mr. Hong until he repays his loan. Myung-gil's men decide to teach Mr. Hong a lesson for what he's done to their boss. Jang-do and his men brutally beat him up, force him to strip naked and film the process. At the gym, Myung-gil enjoys watching the video of Mr. Hong being hazed and assaulted as Jang-do finally avenges him. That night, President Choi learns that Myung-gil was the person behind Smile Capitals. He is taken back to the time when he was younger and had to close down his business due to orders from the higher-ups. Myung-gil and Beom were his employees back then who decided to rob him. President Choi finds out that his safe was being robbed and goes in to single-handedly beat the thieves up. He gets into a fight with Beom, where Myung-gil ends up slicing Myung-gil's face with his knife. Myung-gil stabs President Choi while Beom pushes him out of the building window. They go back to look outside but see that President Choi's body has been taken away. The two steal most of President Choi's wealth and run away. Later that night, President Choi tells Hyun-jo to back off from trying to expose Myung-gil, claiming he's old and tired. He just does not have the energy to fight him. Myung-gil has saved his assets in a highly secure locker, which only Beom knows about. He tells Beom that he's like a brother to him. He promises to keep him safe, revealing that he had learned from President Choi that investing in gold is best in the event of a recession. Myung-gil tells Beom that in case their loan business goes bust, he will take Beom with him to Vietnam where they can both live together without the fear of being caught. The next day, Woo-jin takes Gun-woo and Hyun-jo to his aunt's pork belly restaurant, where he learns that his former loan shark boss had attacked the old woman. Woo-jin calls his boss to ask why he attacked his aunt and broke into her restaurant. He yells at Woo-jin, telling him that the loan shark had been conned by someone who used a homeless person's ID. Gun-woo and Woo-jin think that they should catch him and expose him to the loan shark so they can be safe, but Hyun-jo believes that catching Jae-myung themselves would make them some money which they can use for their benefit. Claims that he will help his aunt and Gun-woo promises to help the woman as well. The trio leaves to spy on Jae-myung, but the man catches on. He gives Junmin a call about spotting the car and he tells Jae-myung to make their move in the next couple of hours. Unbeknownst that Jae-myung had caught along with her plan, Hyun-jo follows Jae-myung to the train station thinking he was going to con more homeless people. Woo-jin and Gun-woo follow Jae-myung to the subway station, but Junmin sends an army of thugs that are ready to attack them. Hyun-jo panics and calls President Choi for help upon seeing the thugs follow Gun-woo and Woo-jin into the subway. We see them ready to fight the group of thugs. Meanwhile, Dooyoung gets a call from President Choi in the middle of the night. Meanwhile, in the subway, Junmin spots Gun-woo and recognizes him. He sends Jae-myung to his house to kidnap his mother. Gun-woo and Woo-jin start fighting the thugs with their bare hands while dividing them into two groups. The two are being hit with baseball bats but still manage to overpower the thugs together. When Woo-jin spots Gun-woo being pinned to a wall and beaten, he goes to save him. Gun-woo also manages to help Woo-jin when he is targeted by the thugs. The two fight passionately, trying to help each other when all of a sudden, Hyun-jo shows up with her taser. The trio manage to beat all the thugs and flee. In the meantime, Jae-myung and his friends enter Gun-woo's house and his mother, So-yeon, wakes up scared. They kidnap her and take her away from the house. Another of President Choi's men, Yang-young, comes just in time to save the woman and renders Jae-myung's friends unconscious. Jae-myung tries to run away with So-yeon, but he manages to catch him and stabs him in the ankle. Another man goes to the basement to save the two boys. He is shocked to see they have beat up all the goons with their bare hands. President Choi asks So-yeon to call Gun-woo and asks them to come see. They go to Choi's house and Gun-woo finds So-yeon injured. The woman is worried for both Woo-jin and Gun-woo. President Choi calls them to the basement and yells at the trio for getting involved in something that could cost them their lives. He warns them to stop intervening in what the adults are doing, pleading with them to stop before someone ends up dead. President Choi then asks the two boys to go away and yells at Hyun-jo for endangering the lives of Gun-woo, his mother, and Woo-jin. He asks Hyun-jo to send So-yeon to their shelter and deliberates their next move with Yang-young. They decide to end this altogether by killing Myung-gil. President Choi asks Mr. Oh, his secretary, to look more into Myung-gil's business. That night, President Choi opens his vault to access his gun, but learns that he was not able to aim well due to the condition of his body after Byum had pushed him off the building. The next morning, Myung-gil pays a visit to the hospital. Jae-myung and the rest of the thugs were admitted. Jae-myung tells Myung-gil that the man who beat them up had short hair and used a sashimi knife. Myung-gil is worried when he leaves the hospital only to see all the thugs outside, getting treated for their injuries. Myung-gil asks to see Byum for a meeting. Yang-young owns the sashimi restaurant where President Choi had met Gun-woo for the interview. His sous chef asks to join him on the hunt for Myung-gil, but Yang-young decides he should stay back when he goes on his mission. Yang-young meets with an old colleague, Do-young, who's still on good terms with President Choi, and discusses how they could put an end to the old man's troubles. Meanwhile, Myung-gil tells the story of President Choi's business to Junmin, Jang-do, and Byum. He states that President Choi worked with 5 knifers who were known thugs working for him and killing people like maniacs. He claims that he and Byum had waited for the right time because they're too powerful when together. Myung-gil adds that they had managed to kill 3 out of the 5 knifers, but Yang-young and Do-young are the 2 that survived. He narrates how they were brutal with their knives and that they often crippled people by slashing their Achilles tendons. Junmin tells Myung-gil about Hyun-jo claiming that the girl who showed up could be connected to the library. Myung-gil asks Byum and Jang-do to check the library out, claiming that President Choi had a lot of money and at least 50 billion won just in cash. In the meantime, Hyun-jo takes the 2 boys to the shelter. She waits outside while the boys check out the room that So-yeon will live in. Do-young meets with a man who tells him what Myung-gil's men did to Mr. Hong despite knowing his reputation as a chaebol. That night, Mr. Oh tells President Choi and the 2 knifers all about Myung-gil's team. He claims that Junmin had multiple records on his name, namely tax and loan frauds. Mr. Oh adds that Jang-do used to be a police cadet in training but had to be kicked out due to a sexual assault charge. He adds that the private detectives needed more time to look into the other people they were with. Do-young claims they should take out Junmin first since they have his address and license plate. He is skeptical when Yang-young states that they will have to kill the men involved. Yang-young says he would take over Myung-gil, but President Choi warns them about the giant, Byum, who was the person that pushed him off the building. He asks the knifers to go on the hunt together. They discuss what they should do about the money in the library, and President Choi claims that they needed to relocate it. Since they're short on manpower, Yang-young asks to have the 2 boys do it. Do-young tells President Choi that they were very skilled and adds that together, Gun-woo and Woo-jin beat up all of the 30 thugs with their bare hands. That night, So-yeon sets up a meal for Hyun-jo and the 2 boys. She is not used to being treated with motherly love and is shocked when So-yeon treats her accordingly. She asks what Hyun-jo likes to eat and scolds the boys for not having any of the rolled omelets for her. So-yeon gets up to make more for her and Hyun-jo is touched. President Choi texts Hyun-jo asking her to clear up the money from the library the following morning. The knifers spend the rest of the day tailing Myung-gil's men. Hyun-jo wakes up early next morning to go to the library, as do Gun-woo and Woo-jin. President Choi watches as the trio takes 2 different cars. They arrive at the library and start looking for trolleys to take the boxes full of cash out to the cars as Hyun-jo starts taking the cash out of the shelves. She notices someone looking at her and checks the CCTV footage only to notice Byum has entered the basement behind Woo-jin and Gun-woo. When she runs outside to save them, Jang-do hits her on the head with a baseball bat and tases her. He handcuffs the woman and takes her away. Meanwhile, Gun-woo tells him who Byum is and the 2 boxers start fighting the giant. The 2 try to beat the giant up, but he is too strong for them. Gun-woo asks Woo-jin to punch and duck, which gives them some advantage over Byum. After punching him non-stop, they manage to make him weak. When Byum tries to attack Woo-jin, Gun-woo is out of control and punches Byum until he passes out. Hyun-jo wakes up while Jang-do is taking her away. She bites him and flees. After untying her feet, she manages to use her baton to beat him up. Hyun-jo manages to beat Jang-do up with her hands cuffed and frees herself before tying him to a pole with the same cuffs. She runs to check on the boys who are using cable ties on Beam. As they return to the library with their trolley, they notice that Jang-do has fled. The trio start packing the money up and loading their cars when Hyun-jo asks to pack up the cash from the safe. Since the safe also has billions in it, Woo-jin asks Gun-woo to wait in the car while he helps Hyun-jo. In the meantime, Jang-do calls Myung-gil telling him that Beam was missing and that he was injured and wanted to go to the ER. Myung-gil cusses him out, asking him to finish the job and get the three kids' heads to him with all the money. Gun-woo is in the car and starts getting worried when Hyun-jo and Woo-jin show up. They get in the car with the money and the gold bars and are about to leave. Just then, 3 cars full of thugs show up outside the library. The thugs leave their cars to block the exit. Hyun-jo asks Woo-jin to call Gun-woo, who is in the next car. She asks him to follow her car and leads him to a second exit. Myung-gil's men follow the 2 cars on their own. Gun-woo tells her that he cannot go any faster because his car is weighed down by the cash. She tells him to be on guard for her signal. She lets him speed up and gets behind Gun-woo's car. Jang-do crashes into Hyun-jo's car, but she hits him on the curb and drives off. Hyun-jo's car starts acting up as they enter the tunnel. Jang-do gets into one of the 2 remaining cars and tails Hyun-jo and the boys. Inside the tunnel, Hyun-jo fights with the thugs, all while still in the car, and manages to turn the thugs over. The men inside the car start screaming as Woo-jin and Hyun-jo try to run to Gun-woo's car with the gold bars and the remaining cash. Upon seeing that the thugs have started getting out of the car, they leave the bags behind. Gun-woo leaves 2 boxes full of cash out to make space for them when Woo-jin asks Gun-woo to start the car. Hyun-jo and Woo-jin get in as Gun-woo drives off just as the thugs were catching up on them. Meanwhile, Yang-young tells President Choi that Myung-gil had loaned money to a lot of people, including policemen and sports people. President Choi is worried that Myung-gil has expanded his reach a lot more than he expected. He blames himself for not putting an end to Myung-gil sooner and claims that he had used the bonds he stole from Choi to expand his business. President Choi believes that Myung-gil is an ex-convict and had begged for a second chance, which is why he gave him a chance. He apologizes for stopping Yang-young from killing him before and admits that he was worried he would lose Yang-young too. Just then, Yang-young gets a call from the kids claiming they have lost the money from the safe. President Choi is worried about their safety more than the money. Yang-young tells him that a huge man, Beam, was badly injured and left in the basement of the library. President Choi is sure that Myung-gil has arranged for a doctor who would treat patients illegally because Myung-gil is copying President Choi's methods from the past. Yang-young asks Do-young to tail Beam and follow him to learn about the hospital that's treating the giant illegally. Jang-do reveals that Beam's eardrum has been busted and that he's getting treated. He also adds that he will check the number plates of the car Woo-jin was driving the following day because the officer on duty they paid was not available that day. Myung-gil is pissed that they were not able to track the cars faster and asks to pay whoever they need to in order to get the security footage to track the movement of the car. He asks Jun-min to leave so he could talk to Jang-do in private. Myung-gil is 2 steps ahead of President Choi and tells Jang-do that the kids had left Beam alive in order to track him. He asks Jang-do to keep an eye out for Do-young because he is sure that he'll be the knifer out to attack Beam. Myung-gil claims that it is not important to save Beam, but that their priority should be to kill Do-young. Myung-gil asks Jang-do to be wary of Jun-min because he'll be the next one tracked, adding that he was easy to manipulate. At the same time, President Choi catches Gun-woo coming back from his morning run. He scolds the young man for not resting and asks him to sit down for a chat. President Choi reveals that he had managed to repay his 100 million won debt after helping to save most of the cash from the library. Gun-woo is free to go and move away so he can start a new cafe with his mother. Gun-woo still feels indebted to President Choi and wants to see the fight to the end. The boys and Hyun-jo go to Yang-young's sashimi restaurant for lunch where they chat for a bit. Do-young joins them, and the 2 knifers discuss their plan of action to take Myung-gil down with the 2 kids. Yang-young admits that they need to attack all at once and asks Hyun-jo to join Do-young in order to take Jun-min down and lead them to Myung-gil's victims. He adds that Woo-jin and Gun-woo will join him to take Byum and the rest of the thugs down. Yang-young believes that Myung-gil has probably caught on to their plan and that it's wise to act quickly in order to save his victims. Do-young and Hyun-jo bond over their love for bikes as they pick a couple to go on their hunt. Yang-young trains Woo-jin and Gun-woo on how they can use knives as a former Marine soldier himself, while Yang-young trains the boys on how they should use their knives and stay from knife attacks. Do-jong trains Hyun-jo on how to attack while riding a bike. That night, Hyun-jo and Do-young tail Junmin and end up waiting for him to show for a while. Do-young avoids his pregnant wife's call despite knowing she could be in labor. Yang-young and the boys wait outside the hospital where he tells the boys that nothing comes before friends and family. He tells them that inside, he will ask them to run when things get risky and adds that they should follow his command. Woo-jin claims that he was contradicting himself, but Yang-young tells him that he should not get too attached to people in the business. Meanwhile, Byum wakes up in the hospital room and starts beating some of the goons up out of frustration. Just then, Junmin arrives at the building in his car. Do-young gets on his bike and slashes Junmin's throat in the blink of an eye and drives off. The goons come to pick him up and take him to the hospital. Do-young's bike is attacked by a car and 3 goons start beating him up. Hyun-jo manages to come in time to rescue him, and together the 2 bikers take down the goons. Do-young gives Yang-young a call that the job was done and gives them a heads up to move. They get into the hospital building but catch Jang-do going up the elevator. Yang-young and the boys take the stairs to the top and try to get to the 7th floor before him, taking him down before he can enter the hospital. The goons are having a riot inside the hospital while Yang-young and the boys manage to tackle Jang-do with only 1 goon noticing. While Woo-jin beats the guy up, Yang-young beats Jang-do and shuts his eyes and mouth with duct tape. They take him to Do-young's shop and start preparing to torture him. President Choi is on his way and asks the knifers to have Hyun-jo, Gun-woo and Woo-jin watch the process. The knifers are worried about the kids not being able to see what they are about to do. Meanwhile, Myung-gil watches the hospital CCTV footage and learns that Jang-do has been taken. He asks his other henchman, Mr. Young, to look up the plates of the car that Gun-woo is driving. He also learns that Junmin is still unconscious. Gun-woo and Woo-jin bring in a bucket full of salt water and are asked to sit down and watch the torture alongside Hyun-jo. The knifers start using a sanding machine on Jang-do's skin and add salt water to the wound to make it sting worse. The trio squirm, and Hyun-jo runs out to throw up. Gun-woo follows as President Choi's car pulls up outside. She scolds President Choi for making her watch something so brutal. He tells her that it is possible that he'll die by the time this ends and adds that he wants Hyun-jo to learn his ways to survive after his death. She won't bear to hear what President Choi has to say and leaves to go back inside. President Choi asks Gun-woo to protect Hyun-do and the others if he was not there to save them. Gun-woo promises to do as President Choi says. In private, President Choi gives him a secret tip on how he can take down an organization. He spills that dispersing and dividing members of an organization is the easiest way to take it down. He tells Gun-woo that a leader who is not able to gain his people's trust will end up with a divided organization. Inside, President Choi tries to brainwash Jang-do against Myung-gil, claiming that he doesn't care about his people, and that all that he wants is money and power. President Choi claims that Jang-do was in it for the money, but adds that Myung-gil will not take a look back to save him and would replace him in a heartbeat. He coaxes Jang-do to spill all of Myung-gil's crimes in exchange for his freedom. President Choi promises to send Jang-do away to a faraway country so that Myung-gil could never find or reach him. He promises to send Jang-do away to Guam so that he can live away from Smile Capitals and Myung-gil. Jang-do eventually starts spilling all of Myung-gil's secrets. He tells President Choi that Myung-gil used him and Byum to handle small issues akin to threatening people like Mr. Hong. They often filmed people who did not cooperate with him at their weakest and used the footage to threaten them. Jang-do boasts that there are 50 such videos stored in a German safe with a biometric lock in Myung-gil's bedroom. He adds that the safe had an incineration feature so that its contents can be burned should someone try to break in. He adds that Mr. Young takes care of the bodies and has a team of around 30 or more men on the case. Jang-do adds that Myung-gil had killed a man with his bare hands in a drunken rage and details how he had the scene cleared using a fish supply truck. In return for all this information, President Choi promises to send Jang-do to a hospital and to have him flown out of South Korea under a fake ID. Before leaving, President Choi asks where Myung-gil has his gold saved. Jang-do tells him that In-beom is the only person who knew where that is. We later see Myung-gil torturing Mr. Hong Min-beom and asking his cousin, Inspector Min Gang-yong, to find information on Do-young. He gives the cop 5 hours to find Do-young's address and threatens to leak the video of Min-beom naked, which would ruin their family reputation. Gang-yong promises to help his brother out and save their family's reputation. He immediately starts looking through the police security footage to see where Do-young's bike had been parked. On their drive back from Do-young's shop to President Choi's house, the knifers tell Gun-woo and Woo-jin how things will become bad for everyone in South Korea if Myung-gil is able to set up his casino. Do-young claims that he will become a multimillionaire operating a casino and lending out loans to gamblers and drug addicts as he buys buildings one after the other. Meanwhile, President Choi promises to take Hyun-jo and the boys on a holiday to Rome so they could live his dream of flexing abroad. Meanwhile, Myung-gil prepares his men for an attack and gears up with knives and bulletproof vests. At President Choi's house, the group sans Gun-woo get drunk to celebrate their small victory. They pledge to find the hard drive first and look for an ally in the form of Myung-gil's victims in order to take him down. Woo-jin passes out too soon while Hyun-jo goes to bed early. The knifers sit outside and Do-young tells Yang-young that he had a wife and she was pregnant. Yang-young sends him back home to be with her and calls him a taxi. In the meantime, President Choi tells Gun-woo how Hyun-jo's father had killed himself, leaving her an orphan. He reminisces how Hyun-jo's father was one of his borrowers and had fought tooth and nail to help treat her cancer. Do-young and Yang-young had learned that Hyun-jo's father, as well as other borrowers, were treated badly by Myung-gil at the time, who had just started off his business. He regrets not taking Myung-gil down at the time, but Gun-woo reassures him how good of a man President Choi was. President Choi promises to help Gun-woo set up a private gym after all this is done. In the meantime, Gang-yong manages to find the address to Do-young's shop. Myung-gil and his men raid the shop and find the address to his residence. There, he also learns that Jang-do has been compromised and that President Choi is on crutches, unable to walk. Early in the morning, they set out to Do-young's house and attack him. Do-young wakes up in bed and asks his wife to call the cops to report a burglary. However, instead of fleeing, Do-young tries to brave the men. He is overpowered by Myung-gil's guys and is about to die. Myung-gil promises to spare his wife if Do-young reveals Yang-young's location. However, Myung-gil lies and ends up killing both Do-young and his pregnant wife after finding Yang-young's whereabouts. Unaware of what has happened to Do-young, the rest of the group has a meal at President Choi's house. Woo-jin skips breakfast because he's still asleep. President Choi asks if Gun-woo's mother, So-yeon, could help with meals at the shelter for kids. He asks So-yeon to be taken to the shelter along with Gun-woo to drop her off. Yang-young goes back to the sashimi restaurant, but is unaware that Myung-gil has been waiting for him inside. The sashimi chef tries his best to fight Myung-gil, but the latter ends up killing Yang-young with his own sword. Myung-gil and his men somehow end up at President Choi's house, but since Woo-jin and President Choi are the only people inside, they break in and attack them both. Woo-jin tries his best to fight them but is stabbed in the living room. Meanwhile, President Choi is taken to the basement where he finds his gun. He tries to shoot at the goons but is soon overpowered by Beom and the men. Beom beats the old man up but leaves him alive for Myung-gil to finish the job. Myung-gil is happy that President Choi had left the safe full of gold unlocked and slices his throat, giving him a peaceful death. As Gun-woo and Hyun-jo return, they are shocked to see the house burned down. Hyun-jo runs to find President Choi but soon discovers that he has died. Meanwhile, Gun-woo finds Woo-jin and brings him out of the burning house. He checks for a pulse and learns that Woo-jin still has one. They rush Woo-jin to the hospital where the doctors start operating on him. The doctors claim that they're short on blood because of COVID and needed more, but it's too late. Woo-jin starts bleeding out profusely. Due to mass blood loss, the doctors are worried they may lose him. However, since Gun-woo has the same blood type as Woo-jin, he manages to donate his blood for the operation. He forces the nurse to draw as much blood as Woo-jin needs in order to save his friend. Outside the operating room, Hyun-jo cries to herself about the loss of President Choi. Without informing Gun-woo, she leaves the hospital and goes somewhere all by herself. Gun-woo is worried about her but soon breaks into a sob upon hearing that Woo-jin is out of surgery and in critical care. The episode then takes a 6-month jump to June 2021 as Woo-jin and Gun-woo are living in the countryside. They are training very hard and live with Mr. Oh, President Choi's secretary. The boys want to fight Myung-gil but Mr. Oh is against the decision. Gun-woo tries to reason with him and asks for a chance to help people and avenge President Choi, Yang-young and Do-young's deaths. Mr. Oh gives them his final word and tells them he will not allow this. He then visits President Choi's tombstone and finds Hyun-jo's letter there. She misses her grandfather a lot and blames herself for bringing the mess to Myung-gil. She tells Mr. Oh that she had left for Rome, claiming that she would never return because the country reminded her of President Choi. Mr. Oh is saddened after reading the letter and finally goes back to see Woo-jin and Gun-woo. He gives them the remaining 300 million won from President Choi's cash fund and sends them off to Seoul. The boys go to Mr. Oh's granddaughter, Do-min's, apartment. She is a quirky character and pokes fun at the two naive boys. Both Woo-jin and Gun-woo wash up and start strategizing. Gun-woo learns that Do-min was an archer from the photos set up in her apartment. Gun-woo believes that finding Jae Myung should be their first step, but Woo-jin argues that they should have some backup in the form of allies. They consider talking to Mr. Hong Min-byum, who was the heir of the independent Illinois group and Myung-gil's biggest client. They are shocked to see that Mr. Oh had arranged a convertible for them as they go to see one of the loan sharks that Myung-gil's men had conned. He tells the boys that a few 100 million won were not worth risking his life for and asks the boys to back off. Gun-woo and Woo-jin then see Mr. Moon and tell them all about what Myung-gil and his men had done. They learn that Mr. Moon also had been conned by Myung-gil, who had coaxed him into signing a contract that had manipulative terms and conditions written in fine print. He tells the boys that his office was ransacked for money while he was beaten to a pulp for not being able to pay up. Mr. Moon has a hard time processing the death of President Choi. After seeing Mr. Moon, Gun-woo and Woo-jin pay Jae Myung a visit. After a few punches to his friends, Jae Myung volunteers all the intel on Myung-gil to the boys. He tells them that Myung-gil is overworking them for money and making them con the disabled, borrowing money at a faster speed. He also tells them that Joo-min is alive after his throat was slashed and that Myung-gil is getting desperate after losing his trusted man, Jang-do. He also adds that Myung-gil no longer trusts his own men and has plans to take over a golf course in addition to trying to building his own casino in Mr. Hong's hotel. Woo-jin threatens to expose Jae Myung if he tells anyone about their return, but Jae Myung is tired, since he's overworked and underpaid anyway. The boys end up looking up Mr. Hong Min-byum on social media and send him a text about how they can help recover the video and destroy it for him. At the same time, Min-byum is called to an abandoned building to meet Myung-gil. There, Myung-gil beats the chaebol up and asks him to get his father to agree to sign the contract for the hotel as soon as possible. He threatens to kill Min-byum and leak the nude video, making Min-byum even more desperate. Min-byum shares Woo-jin's text with his brother, Gang-yong, who offers to meet the boys using their usual MO. Gang-yong believes getting the boys drunk would be a good way to learn their true intentions. So naturally, they invite the boys over to a private bar where two cops are present on Gang-yong's orders and ask them to have a drink. Woo-jin claims that Myung-gil's men stabbed him and that his liver is heavily damaged, so he's not able to drink anymore. Gun-woo eventually agrees to have some in order to please Min-byum and Gang-yong. Everyone, including Woo-jin, is shocked to see that despite finishing 3 bottles, Gun-woo shows no signs of being drunk, while Min-byum and Gang-yong have already lost their minds from consuming too much alcohol. The next morning, Min-byum wakes up in his hotel room while Gang-yong wakes up on the couch. Woo-jin and Gun-woo make some ramen for the 4 of them. At breakfast, Gun-woo tells Min-byum that they have decided to hack into Myung-gil's phone to try and unlock the safe from his mobile. Knowing that the safe is highly secure, it would incinerate the contents inside and destroy the hard drive and its contents. Gun-woo also adds that Minbyum will Myung-gil busy with the contract signing to make the hacking possible with the help of Gang-young's team members. The group agrees, while Gun-woo and Woo-ji meet up with Hang-gu and Tae-young, who are with the cops to help with the procedure. Tae-young is from the cybercrimes unit and explains that Myung-gil's phone will be hacked into using Wi-Fi and explains 2 possible methods to do so. Minbyum is worried that the plan was too risky and not foolproof, but Gang-young claims that this was all they could do. The group gets ready and sets up the meeting room up with cameras for the contract negotiation between Minbyum and Myung-gil. Myung-gil scans the QR code with his phone that lets Tae-young into his mobile, but they soon learn that Myung-gil had used a spare phone to do so. Myung-gil starts the meeting with Minbyum still scared. Hang-gu claims that Myung-gil had used a different phone to scan the QR code. They ask Minbyum to get him to use the Wi-Fi. Minbyum is petrified to do so and is worried that Myung-gil might catch along. Woo-jin reassures him that they will not let that happen, and that they'll barge into the meeting room if he lays his hands on Minbyum. Minbyum goes into the meeting room and acts confidently in front of Myung-gil. He tells him that there are cameras everywhere and demands to see the video. Myung-gil is rattled and wonders how Minbyum has so much courage. He lets the chaebol see the video and, in the meantime, Minbyum connects to the Wi-Fi, letting Tae-young access the security app. She starts unlocking the security app, which causes it to incinerate on its own. The group celebrates their small victory and Minbyum offers to help the boys in return for their help. Minbyum believes he can help treat the scar on Gun-woo's face, as well as Woo-jin's liver condition, but Gun-woo states that he wants the scar to be there as a reminder of President Choi's kindness and Myung-gil's evil doings. On their way back, the boys conclude that Myung-gil still has the gold bars that belong to President Choi and decide that they should recover them. Myung-gil gets back home and discovers that the hard drive has been destroyed. He is sure he knows who is behind it and sends President Choi's phone to a guy he knows to unlock it. We see a clip showing that the guy was a cop and belonged to the Serious Crimes Division, similar to Gang-young. We see Officer Kim Jae-min getting into President Choi's mobile phone for Myung-gil. Just then, Gang-young enters the police station and talks to Jae-min, asking him why he's still working so late in the night. Gang-young ends up telling Jae-min about a loan shark who took videos of his victims and how he and his team have finally exposed him. The cop goes on, telling Jae-min that he has some data and a list of his victims. Jae-min immediately calls Myung-gil and tells him about the list. Myung-gil offers to pay him well for information on Mr. O, and Jae-min tries to find the old man using his credit card history. Myung-gil asks him to rush and reveals that In-young actually has a spare copy of the video. She asks Myung-gil to send Minbyum a clip in order to threaten him. Meanwhile, Myung-gil's men look for Mr. O in the countryside and kidnap him. The boys use Jae-myung's help to get more information on In-byum and discuss what they could do to trap him. Despite her instructions not to, the boys use Do-min's computer. She yells at them for not only taking up her apartment but also for filling it up with a lonely man's smell. Woo-jin promises to diffuse the odd smell as a gift when they leave, which seems to impress her. Just then, the boys get a call from In-byum and are shocked. In-byum sends them a photo of an unconscious Mr. O and calls them to an abandoned mall to find Mr. O. Jae-min answers the call and threatens to kill Byum if something were to happen to Mr. O. The boys wonder if they should call for backup and call Mr. Moon just in case. They think about calling Gang-young too and are shocked to see Jae-min trying to tag along. Jae-min shocks the boys with her perfect aim as an archer and allows her to tag along. Mr. Moon tears off the cast from his fractured hand and gets ready, Marine style, to attack Byum. Woo-jin and Gun-woo get into the mall from the front entrance while Jae-min and Mr. Moon enter from the back entrance. Inside the mall, Byum and Mr. Young are shocked to see the boys fight with so much agility. Woo-jin and Gun-woo together manage to beat up 30 goons without using a single weapon, while Jae-min uses her archery skills to help them. Mr. Young tries to attack Jae-min, but Mr. Moon fights him off. Byum is infuriated and tries to attack Gun-woo. Gun-woo knocks Byum out with one punch though and fights him, without getting hit once. Mr. Moon does his best to help save Jae-min, as Woo-jin catches up to them. Woo-jin manages to instigate Mr. Young into not using a knife and tackles him. Byum tries to knock Gun-woo out and choke him to death, but Gun-woo uses all his might to beat Byum up. The fight eventually ends with Woo-jin knocking Mr. Young out and Gun-woo knocking BM out. The four tie up BM and Mr. Young, while Mr. Moon uses his marine torture techniques to get him to tell them where Mr. O was. Mr. Moon takes BM away and hangs him on a meat hanger to torture him and get the location of the gold out from him. Meanwhile, the boys and Damin take Mr. Young in the boot of their car to find Mr. O. The boys call Gang Young just in case and tell him about Mr. O's kidnapping. Gang Young calls Jaemin and asks him to call for backup to help catch Myung-gil. Jaemin learns that Han-gu and Taeyong were on his team and tells it all to Myung-gil. Myung-gil asks his men to clear the scene so that the cops are not able to find a trace of human remains on the site he used to kill people and destroy evidence by mincing their remains. Damin is scared, but the boys promise to save her grandfather. Meanwhile, BM goes full manic and tries to kill himself by swallowing his tongue. However, Gun-woo rushes him to the hospital and saves his life. The next morning, Gang-young's coffee is poisoned while Taeyong gets hit by a truck and Han-gu is stabbed while in the shower. Myung-gil sends another clip of the video to Min BM, leaving him shocked. Min BM calls Gang-young, who soon learns that he was poisoned. He tries to call for help and throws the coffee up. Myung-gil calls the boys using Mr. O's phone and asks them to come to see him at the fish farm without having the cops involved. He threatens to kill Mr. O just like he killed Gang-young and his friends. After the call ends, Gun-woo tries to call Gang-young but can't reach him. Gun-woo claims that taking Myung-gil by themselves would be risky, but Woo-ji reassures him, saying they were both stronger than they were before. That night, the boys drop Damin off far away from the fish farm to keep her safe. The boys enter the fish farm and manage to knock all the goons out. Myung-gil is frustrated and puts a knife on Mr. O's throat, but Demi shows up just in time, shooting an arrow onto his arm. Junmin is afraid for Myung-gil's life and takes him away, while Gun-woo, Woo-jin and Damin team up against his men. They manage to save Mr. O while Gang-young and his cops arrest the goons. The cops discover human remains at the fish farm and get a warrant to raid Myung-gil's apartment. There, they find the mobile phones of many deceased people and are able to pin the murders on Myung-gil. The cops also arrest Jaemin for his involvement. Gun-woo and Woo-jin visit Gang-young and Han-gu at the hospital, where they learn that Taeyong is in the ICU. The boys are sure that Myung-gil will use his method to take the gold bars to Vietnam. Min BM worries that Myung-gil will release the video once he gets overseas. Gun-woo and Woo-jin promise to find him before he can go to Vietnam. The boys use Gang-young's help to reach Jang-do, whom they learn is looking for 1 billion won. They manage to get Min BM's help with the funds. Jang-do also manages to get the boys on the same ship as Myung-gil, BM and Youngmin. Jang-do leaves the country after helping the boys get on the ship. Gun-woo and Woo-jin load themselves on tasers and wear boxing gloves to fight Myung-gil and his men. Woo-jin takes Junmin out with a taser, but BM finds him and starts beating him up. Meanwhile, Gun-woo fights Myung-gil. Simultaneously, Gun-woo and Woo-jin fight Myung-gil and BM, knocking the both out. Gun-woo claims that he'll kill Myung-gil if he ever returns. However, he is shocked to have blood on his gloves. Gun-woo tells Woo-jin that he somehow ended up becoming a bloodhound despite trying to run away from it. Woo-jin believes that Gun-woo has a boxer's heart and can always get it back. The boys end up finding President Choi's gold bars and call Min BM about getting Myung-gil's phone as well. Min BM calls Gang-young about it and learns that Interpol was waiting in Vietnam to arrest Myung-gil, Junmin and BM. Min BM gets on his boat and brings Woo-jin, Gun-woo and the gold back to South Korea. He tells them that the gold is worth 84 billion won and start a welfare foundation, building a hospital from the money. Gun-woo asks Min BM to include President Choi's name as the owner of the hospital. Min BM says he'll try and gives 2 gold bars each to him and Woo-jin. Gun-woo recalls his last conversation with President Choi when the old man asked him to be grateful for the good things that come with saying thank you. Gun-woo and Woo-jin thank Min BM. And as the show ends, Gun-woo and Woo-jin go to the shelter to see Gun-woo's mother, So-yeon. The woman is worried that both her sons have so many cuts on their faces, but she hugs them tight.